Hello and welcome to the Radiate Fitness Podcast with me, your host, Amanda Reedy, mum of two, personal trainer, nutrition and weight management advisor, PE teacher and lifelong happiness advocate. This is a podcast for you, the busy mum, where we'll talk about ways to prioritise your own fitness, health and happiness, because if you feel great, you thrive, and so does your family. Let's get started. Hello, I hope you're having a great week and thank you for joining me. Last time we spoke about New Year's resolutions and why I think it's actually better to set yourself different challenges, standards or non-negotiables throughout the year to help meet your goals instead. Also, how about the importance of starting now? Not waiting until January to make these resolutions and to make these changes, but committing to getting started now, because that is when the impact will be higher and you will really make change happen. This week, I'm going to talk about one of the most common New Year's resolutions that people make, going on a diet. Personally, I find the idea or the phrase going on a diet as problematic. I've had many conversations with clients about dieting and how for most of them they have tried and failed. And what tends to happen, I don't know if you've been in this situation, you start on this magic amazing diet, the weight comes off, and then quickly after coming off the diet it all piles back on again and you feel that you've gone right back to stage one as you were before your diet, but sometimes even worse, the weight has come back on to a higher level, which can be really demotivating and make you feel a bit rubbish. Many of these lovely women struggle as what they are being asked to do on these so-called wonder diets is not sustainable for a long period of time. Or is it enjoyable, especially when the results seem to deteriorate fairly quickly afterwards? One of my clients said to me that she felt that she just didn't know enough or felt educated enough to make healthy choices about food, and actually that's where she had problems. Other people have talked to me and said that their poor eating habits were often down to lack of time to cook or to eat well, or just they feel so tired at the end of the day or even in the middle of the day from parenting, working, all the things that us women have to do on a regular basis, that just to hit the spot of trying to get that energy levels up a little bit higher, you just crave sugar. So you just reach for those sweet treats, those easy to eat biscuits, a little bit of chocolate or a chocolate bar here and there. We've all been there. We have all done it. But these scenarios are so common. And today I am going to explain actionable ways to help you eat that bit healthier, to feel more energized, and to break this diet, in inverted commas, roller coaster of peaks and troughs of perceived successes and failures. As I said, to start with, I don't really like that term, going on a diet. We are all on a diet. The actual term diet is what you consume on a regular basis. For everybody, everyone's diet looks slightly different, and they are all influenced by a variety of different factors. So they could be influenced by the amount of time we have available to cook or to make food, the amount of money that we have to actually buy the food. As we well know, prices have gone up hugely over the past few months here in the UK, and that can make it a struggle because quite often some of the healthier foods can seem a bit more expensive than those convenient foods that we can just grab off a shelf. It's also influenced by things that we like. Obviously, we're not going to buy food that we dislike to eat because what's the point? I know as a mum, I am quite blinkered sometimes, and the food choices that I make to make for the family are completely dictated by what my children like and what they will eat. I do my best on a regular basis to give them different things to try. Try this, try that. And actually, to be fair to my kids, they're quite good and they will give it a try. But they, under no circumstances, are not forthcoming with telling me what they think of it. What have we tried recently? We tried chorizo. That was a big success because, I mean, let's face it, it's really delicious, isn't it? That kind of like umami flavour to it. It's really good and can elevate lots of dishes. However, obviously not the most healthy of things to have on a regular basis, but that was a good one. Another one that my children tried recently, which is kind of like a retry, they're quite good, they do try things again, is Brussels sprouts. And I love Brussels sprouts. I don't know, maybe unpopular opinion, but my daughter tried it and was like, ugh, don't want this ever again. My little boy tried it and he ate the smallest kind of sprout leaf that there is and was like, this is quite nice. I was like, brilliant, an extra veggie for them. But then he immediately told me that he didn't want any more, but he still quite liked it. So again, you kind of win a little bit, lose a little bit. I think we've all been there. Other things that can influence our food choices are what's available. So in an ideal world, it would be amazing. And actually, there is a big thing to be said for eating seasonably. And with seasonal produce, it has been known and suggested that what is available at different times of year is actually what your body needs. So for example, in the summer, the variety of berries which are around, that's when we should be eating those. In the winter, that's when we are eating the more kind of root vegetables and things like that. We should live and work in a seasonal way. However, luckily, or to some you might say, the supermarkets just provide all food all year round. The choice is incredible, really. But sometimes you might pop to the supermarket to get something and they don't have it. So we do have to go with what's available. Another thing that might affect what we do in terms of our eating habits is what is fashionable. We are all influenced by social media. We see it, you watch it, you get drawn into those pretty pictures and those kind of like those food sound bites, looking at amazing things. And these trends can really kind of like direct your approach to what you might make for dinner one day or what you might try. Is it easy? Is it not easy? Let's think about things over time. I mean, throughout COVID, there was the huge banana bread trend, wasn't there? Everyone was making it, apart from I did not make it because if a banana goes past even slightly yellow in my house, it goes in the bin. I just can't stand it. The actual thought of it makes me feel a bit, I can't do it. So there was no banana bread in my household during that time. But other fads, which some people still have, slow cookers. It was such a popular thing and everyone was making delightful slow cooked stews. And I mean, at this time of year, it's autumn here right now. A slow cooked, lovely meal is amazing. However, I know with my cooking, maybe I'm just not picking the right recipes. Quite often my slow cooker things all taste the same, all casserole. With a similar flavour. But again, that was a big thing. And how many of us in your kitchen right now, be honest, put your hand up, has a slow cooker gathering dust because it's just not used at the moment? I think I'm a little bit guilty, but now I'm talking about it, I might make a lovely slow cooked something this weekend. Another one, the most recent one I think at the moment, is air fryers. Meant to be a much healthier way of cooking things. Instead of the oven or deep fat frying. So again, this is, and also amazingly cuts the cooking time down quite considerably. So again, we've got the air fryers. Other fashionable things at the moment, fermented foods, which are meant to have amazing benefits for you. Zero waste cooking, using every single tiny bit of all the foods that you have bought. I mean, it's such a vast topic, nutrition and diet and what you're eating. And we can really be influenced by what the kind of most, what's the word I'm looking for? The biggest thing going on at the moment. I mean, if you think back, I am an 80s baby, I'm an 80s child. The big fad then, you could argue, was fish fingers, alpha bites, spaghetti hoops and a turkey twizzler on the side for your tea. And that was kind of like a given. I think I probably had that maybe 3-4 times a week, not even kidding. And I'm nothing thrown at my mother here because my mum was a great cook and she gave loads of different lovely foods. But that was a regular in our household and that's just what it was. So the list goes on. I could literally probably sit here for a good half an hour and just keep talking about other crazes or popular belief or social media kind of influenced crazes that people try and stick to. in terms of dieting and how we eat and food habits. Other things that we have to consider about what we eat on a regular basis are personal needs. So, for example, some people might be allergic to different foods, and that could really influence the type of foods available in our household. Others might be intolerant to things, which affects what they eat. Other people might have medical reasons where they have to eat a calorie controlled diet for certain reasons or avoid certain foods altogether. So, all of this makes actually what we eat such a controversial, to a certain degree, thing, and it can be so confusing to really know what to do. And as my client was saying, like the actual education of what should we be eating before starting any kind of like diet or anything where you think you're going to have a big change in your nutrition. I would always recommend seeking medical advice. Or if you think you've got any medical conditions, then maybe go and speak to a GP before making changes to your diet. However, for most healthy individuals, there are general recommendations, which I'm going to go through today, which you should be doing and eating certain things within your diet which help you to maintain good health. And there's lots of things that you can do here which will also help you to maintain a healthy weight, give you a good amount of energy so that you can get through the day without any problems, and actually kind of do things like lift your mood and make you feel really, really good. As the saying goes, you are what you eat. If you think physically what you put into your mouth to eat, whether it's through snacks, through your meals, through what you drink, that becomes processed within your body. Your body uses what you eat to create energy to help you do every single thing from blinking an eyelid to running a marathon. Therefore, eating a healthy, balanced diet enables you to gain all the essential nutrients that you need for good health. So as I said, what I'm going to go through now is the recommendations for most healthy individuals to have in their diet, in what they eat on a daily and regular basis to allow them to be healthy. A balanced diet involves consuming the right amount of several different things: carbohydrates, protein, fat, fibre, minerals, vitamins, and water. Okay, so those are what we need in our diets. They are the components that make up food. So within certain foods, you will have different amounts of carbohydrates, of protein, of fat, fibre, minerals, vitamins. You can see what is in the food you're eating by looking at the food labels on the side of the packets of things that you buy. Problems can arise when we eat more than we need of certain nutrients. And this can contribute to becoming overweight, to being at more risk of certain diseases, increasing things like cholesterol levels and blood pressure. They can also affect, by eating too much of certain nutrients, it can change our mood and it can change our energy levels. And likewise, if you don't have enough of certain nutrients, the similar things, especially in regards to mood and energy levels, can happen. So the whole idea about eating well is about balance. To maintain a healthy weight and give our body what we need to thrive, it is about the consistent choices that we make within our diet, not going on a diet. I'll say that again. To maintain a healthy weight and give our body what we need to thrive, it is about the consistent choices that we make within our diet, not going on a diet. As I said, and I'm sure many of you can relate, you've tried different diets. You might do it for a month, you might do it for a week, you might get by on a couple of days, and then all the bad habits can slip back in again. So we really need to try and consistently eat well, fuel our body effectively to allow us to thrive and do everything that we need to do as well as what we want to do in the best way possible. So, guidance from the NHS and the UK government suggests that on average, so again this is average because it does change depending on individual factors, which I'll talk about in a second, but an average woman should have around 2,000 calories a day of food within their diet. Men should have around 2,500 calories per day. The reason there is a difference here is because of the metabolic rate of men and women, their size, and other factors, which means that women generally within their body process and use about 2,000 calories a day, whereas men use a little bit more. A calorie is something that we call a unit of energy. Okay, so we know that energy is what makes us work. We need energy in our bodies. Our bodies are amazingly clever. They create energy from food and different fuels, mainly carbohydrates and fat. They use the carbohydrates and fat that we eat in our diets and make energy. And as I said earlier, this allows our bodies to do absolutely everything, including sleep, things which are subconscious, things that we just have to do, running around. Without energy, we become tired and our bodies do not work. I used to teach this to a lot of teenagers, and I love it, learning about how the body actually makes energy. I'm not going to go into it now because it can be a bit confusing, but the body is so clever. So whilst those are the average things that we need, or the average calorie count that we need, the amount of food that we need, if you count the calories, depends on a range of individual factors. It depends on how tall we are. It depends, as I just mentioned, on whether we're male or female or other. It depends on our activity levels, so what we are doing within our day. So somebody who has a sedentary job, who all day just sits at a desk and working, not very movement orientated, they will need typically in their day less calories than somebody who has got a very active job, who is on their feet all day moving around, because we use energy. So sitting down and working at a computer uses less energy than physically moving your body around on a daily basis. Like an example that just come into my head is a bin man. Obviously they're walking around all day, they're lifting things, they're putting things down, range of things. They all have a higher need to eat more during a day because they are active if they want to maintain their weight. So they are all different things that need to be taken into account. The thing that I want to just put out here is, even though this is kind of like a recommendation, personally, I am not keen on calorie counting. It can be really helpful, I think, at times if you are trying to lose weight. However, I feel with calorie counting, there can be a danger of becoming obsessed with how much of certain things you are eating. And that, I don't believe, is a healthy way to be. That is not teaching healthy habits, that you should be so kind of like focused on how much of certain things you are eating. That is no way to live. People may disagree with me, but this is my personal opinion. So I think it's far better to be aware of what your body needs and what that looks like, and thinking about how you can get this into your diet and what it genuinely looks like on your plate. So you know that when you are making lunch or dinner, you look at what the food is in front of you, you look at the size of the portion, and you can see, okay, that looks about right. Or I've got all these different things here. I've got the things that my body needs to be healthy, rather than spending your time measuring out certain weights of things. Again, there may be times when this is important, but this is something that would need to be much better and much more clearly dictated by a doctor or a nutritionist or a dietitian to tell you that this is the way that you should be eating. But for health, general health, I think if you can learn how and what a good diet looks like, that is going to be much better for you. And also you can then pass that on to your children so they know what a good meal looks like, what they should be eating on a daily basis, which is good for them, which will nourish them, which will help them at school, in their lives and beyond. Again, in my opinion, I really believe that no food is a bad food. Some foods just have better nutritional value than others. So what I mean by this is, if you were to compare an apple and a packet of crisps, that is an obvious one. We know that an apple is a better choice in terms of having a snack than a packet of crisps. There is no kind of processed food within the apple. It's natural. It's got packed full of vitamins and minerals, whereas a packet of crisps is a deep fried product full of flavour, probably some additives in there, and it is not such a healthy choice. However, sometimes it is good to have something really tasty that you're really going to enjoy. And if you have it on a kind of like less regular basis, there is nothing wrong with that. The problems arise when you are eating crisps all day, every day. Even problems arise if you were to only just eat apples. If you only ate apples all day, I know this is ridiculous, but you've just got to think of it in this ilk. If you were to eat anything in huge quantities, that is going to give you problems, okay? So the best thing to do is to eat the right nutrients in the right amounts, which allows you to fuel your body well, or as best you can for all the activities you need to do throughout your day. Therefore, you are avoiding energy slumps. You are also avoiding sugar peaks and crashes, and it's helping you to nourish your body with everything you need so that you can be active, your brain is sharp, you are not tired, you are not lacking energy, and you can really make the most of your day and your life. So that is something that is really important to consider. So, how do we do this? Let's dive in. The best tool, I think, to help people understand this, and I've put a link to it in the show notes, is something called the Eat Well Guide. So this is a pictorial representation of what we should have, or what a good diet represents for good general health for most of the population. So if you want to think of it as we were talking about standards, this is like the minimum standard of what you should have in your diet on a regular basis. This is a picture, and again, I really suggest you look this up because it's really interesting to look at it, because it gives you like a really good understanding of kind of what you should have. So it shows the different proportions of the different nutrients that you need in your diet with examples. And what it does actually do is it does give a little nod to the fact that there are some things which are better for you to eat and nourish your body to a better quality, but we all in this world that we live in know that we will probably eat some processed food, because there is so much foods which are processed these days. It's very, very difficult to avoid it. So it is a really good kind of like understanding of this is what society is like, but this is maybe a good way to try and eat better. So the NHS, who kind of like talk about this Eat Well plate, this Eat Well guide, suggests that to maintain a good general level of health, we should have the following as part of a balanced diet. So a very common one, which most of us have heard of, is to be eating at least 5 portions of fruit and vegetables each day. So this should be 5 different fruits and veg each day, and a portion size is quite often there or thereabouts about a handful of whatever the fruit or the veg is. So if you had a big handful of whatever that is a good kind of like representative size of what a portion should be. If you do go on the NHS website, it does give you a little bit more detail about how much in terms of grams you should have of certain things, because obviously if you're having, if I was to say, oh yeah, 3 strawberries, for example, is, I don't know if it is or not completely, the strawberries change in size, don't they? So you might have tiny strawberries, you might have massive strawberries. That's going to obviously change it. So I think just that if you want to be really clear on exact amounts, have a look at the NHS website. These fruits and veggies are really important to provide essential vitamins and minerals that we need to function well. So these vitamins and minerals help to give different things to our bodies. So some of them can help ensure that our skin and our hair is healthy. Some of them can help with different processes in the body. They are really important, and some of them you can only get from food. So it is important that you eat a good range of fruits and vegetables to give these, or to bring these into your body, so that they are helping you to maintain a good health healthy body and work effectively. These should make up around a third of your plate. The other thing that fruits and vegetables have in them is fibre, and fibre is really important for healthy bowel functions, to stop feeling bloated, to kind of like prevent constipation, those kind of things. So it's really good that I know we do peel some vegetables, but sometimes the skin on veg actually is a really, really good source of fibre. So to try and eat some of that as well, it can be really helpful. The next thing that we should have to make up our plate of food, which again is around about another third on your plate, is meals which are based in high fibre, starchy foods. So these are like your carbohydrates. These are kind of like, for our body, this is one of the energy sources that we need to allow us to function well. This includes things like potatoes and bread, rice or pasta, and they, again, whole meal versions of these are really, really good, but they are allowing kind of a longer release of energy. So things like bananas are a short energy release. They are breaking down really quickly and can give you a short spurt of energy really well. But things like pasta and grains are a slightly longer breakdown process, which means that energy from them lasts that little bit longer. So after those two things on your plate, the next and the rest of your meals should be made up of a variety of different things. So a really important one, especially for midlife women, is protein. So this can come from beans, pulses, fish, eggs, meat, and there's other kind of like tofu as another example of a non-meat based protein product. What you want to aim for here, and this does go into kind of like, if you wanted to measure it out, is around 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per kilo of body weight each day. So say if you were 70 kilos in weight, you should be aiming for about 70 grams of protein each day. Protein is crucial, and some people suggest to get your protein on your plate first and then build the rest of the meal around it. But it's really crucial because it helps build muscle, and it also helps the growth and repair of our tissues and organs. So what happens, especially for women going through midlife and beyond, going into perimenopause, this is a time when we can experience a decline in muscle tissue. Therefore, eating enough protein is vital to help offset this decline and to help support effective skeletal muscle development. So this is a really, really important one to have enough of in your diet. We should also have some kind of dairy or dairy alternatives because this can help build healthy bones. And again, because of the hormone changes which can happen around perimenopausal age, bone health is really important. Therefore, having some kind of dairy or dairy-based alternative is really, really crucial to help support our bodies as they change. Finally, if we are using oils and spreads, which obviously you do need sometimes in cooking, ideally we want to try and choose unsaturated versions because these are fats. And it is important, I want to point out here, fats should not be eliminated from your diet. We all need to have some kind of fat in our diet because fat can be used for energy. It is actually one of the sources of energy which is used kind of on a slow burner. So if you're sleeping, if you're resting, fat, because it is the thing that takes the longest to break down and form energy, we do need it in our diets because it is one of the biggest sources that we use. It can also help keep us warm. It's insulation. So if you don't have any fat in your diet, that is actually not a good thing either. You just need to try and use lower fat alternatives to things which help you to kind of like limit where quite a lot of extra calories can come in, which we don't necessarily need. So that is kind of what we should be eating on a regular basis. Check out the Eat Well play. It gives you a really good picture of it. And I mean, if you think back to tradition, again, as I said earlier, I'm an 80s baby. Growing up in the 80s and 90s, I just remember my mum and dad, when we had meal times, my dad was a very meat and two veg kind of person. So that is what we had. That may be or may not be a good way to be, but it still kind of maintained that balance of there was protein there was fruits and vegetables, there was vegetables there, and it gave some structure to the meal. So it's a similar thing here. But as I said, if you've got a third of your plate, which is your fruits and your vegetables, another third, which is your kind of more carb-based things, so maybe some pasta, maybe some rice, and then you've got protein on your plate, you have got a range of things there, which is really going to help you out. We should also be drinking plenty of fluids. So ideally you want 6 to 8 glasses every day. Water is like one of the best things that you can have because it's got so much need. Our bodies are predominantly made up from water. So being dehydrated can be really, really problematic. But within drinking 6 to 8 glasses of fluids on a daily basis, you can include tea, coffee, low-fat milk and sugar-free drinks. They all count. But you want to make sure that you are well hydrated, and drinking things like tea and coffee, they can have diuretic principles when you drink them, which means you're more likely to go to the toilet and lose fluids, whereas with water it can really help hydrate you. So it's really, really important. Alcohol is a big discussion based on diet, and there are lots of things where alcohol can be detrimental to health. Another thing to think about with alcohol, it's relatively high in fat. Therefore, there's quite a few associated health risks. It can also affect your mental health if you're drinking a lot. What the government states is that there is no safe drinking level, but to reduce risk, the advised ideas are that men and women should not drink more than 14 units a week on a regular basis. So this is advice from the NHS as to what is a healthier limit of alcohol. But as I said, this is advice, but they also say that there is no kind of safe limit of drinking too. They also suggest that you spread drinking over 3 or more days. And to try and cut down, a great place to start is to try and have several drink-free days each day of the week. Because I know sometimes having a glass of wine with a meal is one of the most lovely things, or a drink with a friend, but maybe doing it every single day is just not really particularly good for you. It's associated with lots of different things. We hear about this a lot in the media. This is not the place to go into all the effects of it, but I'm just talking about in terms of a healthy diet, that is what we should do. I believe that the key to remember is balance is everything. And as I said, I don't really believe that no food is a bad food. It's more about it's more about the amount of which you eat of it. So eating foods high in fat, salt and sugar should be done less often and in smaller amounts, because high levels of all those different things are not needed. We can also ensure that we are trying to eat healthy fats. So I did mention about unsaturated fats. So these are found in things like avocado and oily fish, and they are preferable to saturated fats, which are the ones which are found in your crisps and your chocolate. They have lots of essential oils in them as well, which can have so many different benefits for our health. So it's really important to think that fat is not a bad thing. If you ate loads and loads and loads of it, then yes, it is a bad thing. But it's about the types of fat that you choose, which makes the difference, and also the quantity of it. So I really think it's about thinking and using kind of sensible ways to eat well and still have a little bit of what you enjoy. I believe that the balance is key. Did you have one of those delicious chocolate biscuits earlier? Yes, great, enjoy it, but maybe don't have 3 or 4 or 5 of them or finish the pack. Treat yourself, because actually treating yourself does make you feel good. Another thing is, like, would we like to eat a 3-course roast dinner every day for our tea? Probably, that would be amazing. But if you did that every single day for a week, I think firstly I would be sick of roast dinners. Secondly, I'd be so bloated it wouldn't work out well for me. And if you did that every single day, we know that this would have terrible implications for our health. So having a meal like this once in a while is great. There are also many benefits to it. It is delicious. It makes you feel happy eating food like that. It's enjoyable to share this kind of meal with friends and family. And actually, when you look at food as a whole, everything that you eat, there are some wonderful nutrients in a lot of things. So don't feel bad about having things like that. Life is to be enjoyed. Having a little of what you like can bring so much joy, but just be mindful of what you need, and more consistently or not, eat the things which nourish your body in the right amounts. That is what is going to help you feel much healthier. So eating as healthily as you can most of the time is a good goal to have. Having variety in your meals, different fruits, different vegetables, different sources of protein as well can help. And I know that this can be easier said than done when you have kids, but it's really worth trying and just kind of like educating, drip feeding these ideas so that the children understand what is a good way to eat and what is not so good to eat. And I think most households would agree that to make things a little bit easier, you end up eating similar things each week. I know spaghetti bolognese is a big one in my house, but if you look at the idea of spaghetti bolognese, if we have that every week, it's actually a really good meal. It's got a good source of protein, it's got a good source of carbohydrates, so starchy pasta, and within this spag bowl, I quite often don't tell my children, but I grate in loads of things: courgettes, carrots, mushrooms, and they often, unless I've grated it really badly, kind of dissolve in. They don't even know that they're eating secret vegetables. So it can work so well. It can also be important to just get by sometimes. And I know for some people, you just have to go with what works for your household and your family. I really applaud those people that are like, I am making one meal for everybody and that is it. I just can't do that. I tend to try to cater for lots of people, but I often try and like do a little bit of a smoke and mirrors thing. Quite often I'll do a bits and bobs tea where it's actually just a normal meal, but because instead of putting it on plates, I put it in different bowls or on plates so the children can help themselves, they end up having a bit more of a varied meal than what I might do, or what they might do if I just put it all on one plate. So you just have to go with as a family what works. I think if you can talk about these things and try and integrate the principles behind eating more healthily, even if you just do it for yourself, you will see great results and you will really feel so much more energized and healthier for it. So if you want to eat a bit healthier for whatever reason, whether it's to lose a bit of weight, to feel more energized, to build more muscle, or to set a good example for the kids, I've got 3 things for you to try. Number 1, for 3 days, have a little snapshot of what you are eating regularly. So make a food diary of what you eat. Include everything: what you snack on, your drinks, your meals. Write down how you feel when you're eating them, or if there is a particular reason for eating them, like were you really tired or were you sad? What is the reason behind it? Be honest and don't hold back. This is a very basic way to have a look at what you eat and see if there's anywhere where you can make adjustments. Look at your list and see if there's any links. Do you always have a packet of crisps at 3 o'clock? Do you always go for a biscuit when you're tired? Do you eat really well during the day, then at 8 o'clock in the evening you have a bottle of wine and a cheese board? I mean, I love a bottle of wine and a cheese board. Who doesn't? But I can't do that every day. If you see there are patterns, see if there's any places where you can cut down on certain things or on the unhealthier part of your diet. If you're lacking energy, instead of going and eating something quickly, if you can, nip out for 5 minutes, go for a quick walk around the block. I know it can sound a bit counterintuitive, but getting outside and moving can actually give you a bit of an energy boost, and you think, oh, actually, I don't need that snack that I was just about to have. Can you then preempt the need to snack at 3 o'clock in the afternoon by maybe having a slightly more filling lunch? Eating more protein, or a little bit more protein, can make you feel fuller for longer and therefore cut out that kind of like quick energy blast that you might need in the afternoon. Can you change your carbohydrates from just like the normal carbohydrates that you get to wholemeal pasta or wholemeal bread, which keeps you fuller for a little bit longer? Making small changes can go a long way, but still kind of fill you up and give you what you need, rather than going for those slightly unhealthier choices of what you want and might just fill a little stopgap. If you want more information on food diaries or to get a more personalised take on your eating habits, you should speak with a nutritionist or a GP, because they are actually going to be able to give you more specific ideas about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. But just as a general thing, that is quite a good starting place. Just have a look and see, actually, maybe I can cut that out, or I should try this instead. Second thing that you could try is just to start thinking a little bit differently about meals. I had a conversation with a friend not so long ago about food mentality when we were children. So I don't know about you, but at meal times, I remember again and again and again being told, I must finish everything on my plate. Don't let food go to waste. It must all be eaten. There's children in other parts of the world that don't have these things. This was kind of like a general, this is what I found out from talking to other people. This is something that we all got told at this time. And whilst I still to this day don't like to see food go to waste, it's ingrained in my brain, and often I eat my children's food. If they've just left I don't know, a little bit of something, they haven't eaten the end of a little bit of pasta, I might just have a little bit of that pasta because I don't like seeing food go to waste. But actually, this is crazy. If you are full, you are full. You don't have to finish what is on your plate, okay? And it's the same for kids. I try now really hard. If my children say they're full and I think they've done quite a good go of it and they've eaten lots of different things, I'll be like, okay, that's fine. But I would say to them, if you're hungry later, because sometimes it gets to 7:30 and we're just about to start bedtime, they're like, oh, I'm really hungry. I was like, well, it's a bit late to eat now. I think it's really good to listen to hunger cues and also listen to fullness cues when we eat. So we should stop eating when we are no longer hungry. And I realise this may be easier said than done. And sometimes if we're really enjoying our food and we really want to finish what's on our plate, it's not always necessary. So think about portion sizes. Think about the fact if you're genuinely full, don't eat anymore. And I know maybe it is a bit counterintuitive, but the way sometimes it's better to put it in the food bin than to keep eating and overeat and feel uncomfortable, or that can end up leading to putting on additional weight that our bodies don't need. So things to try here is maybe eating a little bit slower. If you do feel hungry after your meal and you think, actually, I'm going to just have, I don't know, a little bit more of something that maybe you don't need, maybe just wait for 10 minutes, because sometimes that it does take a little bit of time for us to say, actually, I am full, I don't need anything else now. And then if you are still hungry after that time, then obviously do have a little bit more of something, but try and make it a healthier choice. My final idea for you is about healthy swaps. So sometimes we all do need a snack. There are those days where you just need a snack, and that is fine. And it is the snacking that is a key reason or a key way that a healthy diet can change to a less healthy diet. Because quite often, a lot of the snacks available are just so easy to eat, so moreish, and are just not very healthy. You know what I'm talking about. Chips, crisps, biscuits, those kind of things. So with this in mind, I have created a healthy swaps cheat sheet for you that is available to download from the show notes. This gives lots of examples of where you can have a stash of easily accessible snacks that nourish you rather than act as that quick fix, which might not be so healthy and might actually not be what you need in that moment. So examples include slow energy releasing oatcakes rather than biscuits, and you can put a little bit of something on that, which is a better choice, like a little bit of peanut butter can be really good, or even something like some cottage cheese, which just gives you a little snack that you need, but it's got a bit of extra nutrition to it. So that's just an example, but please check out my little cheat sheet for you, because hopefully you'll find it really helpful. So along with many other facets of having a healthy lifestyle, it is all about consistency. If you can nourish your body well with all the nutrients it needs 80% of the time, you are doing really, really well. And I really believe that is accessible for everybody. Never feel guilty for having the occasional treat. Or if you have a few not so good days, don't worry about that. Just start again tomorrow. Try and eat as healthily as you can throughout your day, your weeks, your month. And if for any time you don't have a good day, don't worry about it. You're human. We all make mistakes. I really guarantee by moving more and eating better, you will feel healthier and happier, and then magic really does happen. If you've got any questions on what I've talked about today, please reach out on Instagram at Radiate Fitness UK or email me, amanda@radiatefitness.co.uk. You can find all these details in the show notes. And I hope you have a wonderful week.